Hey guys, Analog Man here, back for another deck profile, and as you can see from the title, we are finally showing our Blue Flare deck. This deck actually took a little bit longer than usual to go through because initially, just like a lot of people, I just really had a tough time trying to figure out this deck, trying to figure out the ratios and like what was so powerful about it. Um, Thanks to my friend Steven at my locals and my friend Brock, who is a fellow Digimon player out of state in Wisconsin. He has been playing this deck a lot, and he's told me about how powerful it is, but I didn't really believe him until I tried it out. And also seeing my friend Steven in locals actually playing it today. Today at our Saturday locals, he actually went first with it, and I got second with Crossheart. This deck is really busted, especially in testing. When I was testing it against certain people in the Digimon Discord. Shout out to my friend who I was playing with. Sorry, I'm not great with the Discord names, but basically he helped me test it out against like Grandis, Imperial, like other decks, and it's really strong. The fact that this deck is kind of like Blue Hybrid, but it's a bit more efficient because it can stun way more, like multiples of enemies, especially if if they have less sources underneath. So really powerful. Also, the fact is that this card can also abuse Magna X, which is really weird. Also, the fact is that it has one of the best memory boosts in existence. It costs 5, but you get to search out 6 cards. You get to grab 2 blue flares and play the tamer, which is really gross. I honestly think that this memory booster is almost bordering on as broken as the one from security control that people use, the reinforced memory boost. It's really close. It's just that it doesn't give you that 3 memory instead of just 2. But if it did, it'd be so broken, and Blue Flare would be way more powerful than it is. Also, the fact is that a lot of the effects, you only honestly literally need like maybe 2 tamers max, and you can just set up really fast, and it's really cool. Also, a lot of the effects do way more searching than Crossheart does, because Crossheart requires either Shoutmon or Taiki to do a lot of the searching, and then just relying on the other tamers to either gain a memory or, in the case of Crossheart, using Akari to draw, which is really good. But sometimes it's like you can fish forever and just like never draw your card sometimes. Same with this deck, but at the same time, there's a little bit more consistency. When Crossheart bricks, it bricks bad, and you can't play out of it sometimes. Like I noticed when testing the deck at my locals recently, with Blue Flare, I noticed it's like even if it bricks, eventually after like turn 3, it's able to kind of slightly recover and kind of come back. While Crossheart, if it gets hit and they have like your opponent has the setup to block you, you basically kind of have to like outstall them at that point. So it's just kind of a tough time with Crossheart, especially because people are expecting more of that rather than Blue Flare, while Blue Flare is kind of like under their radar a little bit, I feel. But yeah, let's actually get into the deck profile so you can see what I mean. So first for the eggs, originally I was running the reverse of this. Originally I was running 4 of this egg, but in testing I feel that it's not as good because people can actually play around it because it requires basically Babydamon. His effect is when attacking once per turn. If your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, you can draw 1. And sometimes people can play out of this, so it's not as good, which is why I decided to go for Upamons, because how you do it is that most of the time during this format, your opponent will have a Digimon that has no sources. So this will usually be live, but even then you can make it live thanks to the Sora and Joe Tamer that's in this deck. So this card is way stronger than this and is more guaranteed. So I feel like having this at 4 instead of 1 feels a little bit better. But yeah, that's the eggs. We're actually going for 5 for once. Mainly it's because, it's to deal with like stall decks and stuff, because sometimes decks can outstall Blue Flare, and then it's kind of in trouble at that point. So having 5 eggs actually really helps with that. Yeah, but let's get into level 3s. We run about, let's say, 4, 3, 2, so um, about 9. But it's not too bad. You usually see them pretty often. So first you run 4 of the new Blue Flare Gaussmon. This guy's really cool. On deletion, He has an effect where you can play one level 4 Digimon card with blue flare and its traits from your hand suspended without paying its play cost. So you can swing with this, play out male Birdramon or Greymon to either search with Greymon or play Kiriha with male Birdramon, and then you already have a Tamer and a Source, so it's really cool. So I usually go for the male Birdramon one and then hard play Greymon, so I get a search and I get the materials, and they get saved underneath afterwards. He doesn't have an inherent effect, or a inherent effect, sorry, but he's still really cool, really powerful card. It really sucks that he's a common because I would love a pre-release or whatever copy of this. It'd be really nice. But yeah, we're running 4 of him. Then we run 3 Jamming Vmons because Jamming Vmon is still really busted, so you want to have him in the deck no matter what. And then 2 Madoki Betamons to keep your opponent from gaining memory, especially with Digimon. Certain Digimon this format can also gain you memory, but the good thing is that this can stop it still, so you just kind of keep this as your, like, deterrent, so really cool. So yeah, 9 rookies, very solid number. Honestly, I feel like maybe, like, at 9, it's kind of sometimes lacking, but I've been seeing them consistently, so I haven't really had trouble with that. We run a lot of level 4s. We run 4 of the new Greymon. So for anybody that does not know what this does, on play, you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. You add 2 cards of blue flare, and then you place the rest underneath. And if you have a Kiriha in play, you may return 1 Metal Greymon from your trash to your hand. So let's say your Metal Greymon's in security and they hit it, their guy dies, but now it's in trash, so you can't really use it. You can play this, and then if you have the Tamer, you can just recover it, which is really cool. And then on deletion, save. So almost all the Blue Flare Digimon all have saves, so you are guaranteed to keep them underneath your Tamers, which is really cool. And then his inherent is really busted because if your opponent has 2 or more guys, which usually in this format they do, you can unsuspend the Digimon that this Digimon is under. So it's really cool because then it's like if you have Deck or Gray, you swing, unsuspend, and then you swing again. So you're swinging for 2 checks, so really powerful. Then we run 4 Male Birdramon. Cool thing, on play, if you have Kiriha in play, you can return the Metal Greymon just like Greymon. But if you don't, you can just play Kiriha for free. And the fact is that on deletion, it has save as well. And then when attacking, he can stun a Digimon. Really cool. But it does require your opponent to have 2 or more Digimon, which kind of sucks. But that requirement's actually not too bad, so I usually get it off pretty easily. So it's whatever. And then we play 4 Decadramon. Decadramon is really busted. I didn't know how broken he was until I played against my friend Steven. The fact that if you swarm the board, this card becomes busted because let's say your opponent just gave you like 5 memory. You hard play this, and then you draw 1 for itself. But then for each one, it gets an additional draw 1. So if they have 4, you're drawing 5 cards off this guy, or 3 cards. But those 3 cards are really powerful. And the fact is that on deletion, he also has save too. And then he gives a plus 1,000 to any Digimon, including Magna X. So you can make Magna X a 12,000 swing with Deckard, so it's really cool. Then we run 1 Kumamon, because Kumamon, hybrid for game still sometimes, and the fact that it strips a source, so, just as good too. And then we run 2 Greymons. The weird thing about how this deck works is that Digicross specifies the name, not the color or the typing or whatever. So that means Greymon can go underneath Metal Greymon and give it an extra security check. So it's really cool. So you run 2 of these just so you can get that off sometimes. But sometimes, like you don't draw it, but you still have the other Greymon. But having this sometimes you can get that extra security check. So really powerful. That's all the adult level Digimon that we run, or level 4 adults. Then let's get into, for level 5s, we only run about 7, but they're really solid. First, we run 4 of the Metal Greymons. Literally, this guy is the heart and soul of the deck, because on play, he has Rush, and if you equip him with both Greymon and Male Birdramon, he is only a 3 cost, and with Kiriha being a memory tamer, you're always guaranteed to do that. And the fact is that when you play it, up to 3 of your of your opponent's Digimon, if you Digicrossed, can be stunned if they have less sources than him. So if they have less than if they have 2 or less, then they're gonna get stunned. So it's really cool. You can like freeze an entire board basically with this guy, and it's really busted. Then we run 3 Decker Greymon. Oh yeah, wait, before that, I forgot to mention that this guy also has material saves, so when he dies, you can put two of the materials underneath him, so basically Male Bergermon and Greymon underneath one of your tamers, and you can just save it for next time. Then Decker Gray is really cool because he can evolve for 2 on top of Metal Greymon or any level 5, and he has Armor Purge. So he basically makes Magna X live. But the cool thing is that on play or when digivolving, you can digicross to reduce the cost, or when you digivolve, you can equip a Deckermon. If it has when you do the on play or when digivolving, you can actually place stuff from underneath the tamer as well because of his effect specifically. So he kind of sometimes doesn't need Kiriha, which is really cool. But if you equip a Deckermon, you can actually stun another Digimon. So it's really cool. This one requires sources, but this one is just an automatic stun if you have Decker Gray or a Deckermon, I mean specifically. So it's really cool. And yeah, the fact that he's an armor purge, he can survive an attack, turn him back into metal grade, then you get a material save. So really cool. But yeah, that's all the level 5 perfects that we run. Let's get into level 6s. We only run one level 6, and we run 2 copies of Magna X because, as I mentioned, you can evolve this for 3 cost on top of this, and then basically he is live now because it says as long as he has a Digimon with X antibody or armor form in it, he can redirect attacks, and if he were to die, he can just go back into security like this. So really solid. Very cool that this can even work with the deck, so I just love an excuse to play Magna X because he's one of my favorite Royal Knights. Then for level 7s, we only run one and only one copy. We run one Def X to deal with really huge boards, and with how much this deck draws, you are guaranteed to grab this card usually. Sometimes it gets hit in security, but that's whatever. They just died to a 15,000 guy, so that's fine. But having one of him to kind of keep board control is also really useful. So you keep just one. Two I feel is a bit too much, so one is pretty decent already. Anyway, that's all the Digimon for the deck. The rest are options and tamers, so let's get into those. We run the 4 Blazing Memory Boost because this is literally, as I mentioned before, one of the most broken memory boosts I've seen in a while. The fact is that when you play it for 5, you get to reveal 6 cards, and you can add 2 blue flares, and if you specifically grab 2 blue flares and there's a Kiriha in it, you can play the Kiriha for free as well. And of course, delay, you gain 2 memory the next turn. So really cool. This card's really good. Like if you open Gauss with this, as my friend Brought mentioned, it's literally the god tier hand right there because you get to set up for next turn, and you have like 2 guys and possibly a Kiriha setup. So really busted. Then we run one Rattlestar because Rattlestar is really cool in this deck. If they hit into it and they have a whole board, you just bottom deck their most important piece and they can't do anything. Also, bouncing something really hurts usually, and it is better than Cocytus Breath in my opinion because it costs 5 and it can bottom deck if their board is big enough, so really nice. Run one Ice Wall to kind of stall it out if you are setting up this or this. Then one Forbidden Trident because sometimes you have to cast this with your Gaussmon to get rid of their memory choker. Basically, let's say you're playing against green and they have Terriermon. You push up Gaussmon, you play this for 1, and then you get rid of their Terriermon and then do your Digicrossing because certain cards can stop you from doing reductions or gaining memory. So having this get rid of it is also really nice. Plus, it gives an extra 2,000, so very cool. Then we run 2 X antibodies because when you swing for the second time with Decker Gray and you equip this, you can just swing and evolve into this immediately. So really nice. That's all the options we run. We don't really run that many options in this deck, which is weird because some builds I saw run like Hammer Sparks, Ice Walls. It ran all this. It ran Forbidden Trident, Rattlestar, Kakai, just everything. But I feel like that makes the deck really clunky. So having this amount is perfect. For the rest, it's a very bare bones of tamers. It's just 4 of the new tamer Kiriha. Really cool. He's a memory setter, and he allows you to suspend him to use materials underneath any tamer. So he's basically the Taiki of this deck, or of the general of Blue Flare. So having him is really good. And then the last 3 cards we have are 3 Sora and Joes. Sora and Joe is really crucial in this deck because you can strip a lot of sources now that not that many people are playing X decks anymore. So you can just strip like all their sources and make them like susceptible to metal gray to be stunned. And the fact is that you get that extra 2 memory, so you can always set up Decker Gray Digicross every time. So really solid. But yeah, this is the deck. This is the bare bones template version of it. Um, I know down the line I'm going to be changing a lot of things. Like there's going to be a new option card I'll be including from EX3. We'll be potentially adding in Zeke Greymon to maybe replace Magna X because that way you can unsuspend and swing for game basically. Yeah, so this deck is always like all my other decks constantly changing, but this is just what it is at the current recording basically. But I just wanted to put this out so people have a good template to work with. This is my really, really rough draft version of it, but I feel it's very solid already. So I think I'm just going to stick with this until something comes up that makes me have to like adapt to my locals maybe. But so far, I feel like this is really powerful and it can, do a lot of work. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.